Hey gang, this is Foucault. I just happened to be playing a few days ago, and found myself in these two heads-up matches, which were fairly interesting. So I figured I would start recording in case the match turned into something worth just in case the match turned into something worth recording and making a video out of. Unfortunately, both of these opponents left relatively soon after I started recording, but I do think there was enough material here to make it worth discussing because I really haven't done a heads-up video, and I have been trying to play more heads-up poker recently, so I may even end up doing a heads-up series at some point, but for the moment I just thought this was kind of an interesting match with some interesting spots that came up. So what we've got here is King Immense on the left, and this is a 10-20 deep heads-up table, and over here on the right, playing against John 7267. This is a 5-10. I think it was actually a deep table, and John just did not buy in deep. Both of these opponents, I have a touch of history with them, and I actually don't recall 100% of it right now, but I'll let you know about the stuff that's relevant to particular hands that come up. The one thing I will say about John is he's interesting to play with. He's relatively straightforward, and he doesn't make like a lot of big bluffs or anything, but he is capable of making some pretty thin value bets. So he can actually be kind of tricky to play against. And King Immense I didn't have as much history with. I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and we'll just talk about some things as they come up. I think you could probably even justify against someone who played really straightforwardly, and the weaker they are, you could potentially justify making a call with Jack 5 suited. It probably is ahead of a button opener's range, at least if they're opening a good range of hands on the button. You're certainly getting the right immediate odds to call with Jack 5 suited. Granted, it's a pretty difficult hand to play out of position, and so that's why it really comes down to how skilled your opponent is. Against probably 90% of the people who I'm playing with at 5-10 and higher stakes, I'm going to be folding that hand. But if you are up against someone who you think is very predictable and who you think you have a big edge over, and in particular you're comfortable with your ability to take them off of hands when necessary, and also that you'll be able to show down your hand when it's best, and also not pay off better hands when they're out there. If just in general, if you feel like you're going to be able to make very good decisions against them, I think that you can actually justify making calls with stuff like Jack 5 suited. And I do think I have a solid edge against John, and as I said, he's not that tricky, but I still think that the edge isn't big enough that I want to start calling stuff with Jack 5 suited, especially because I think he's also good enough that if he sees me making calls like that, if he sees that I'm calling really thin out of position, he probably will start to make some of the correct judgments and some of the correct adjustments and start bluffing some more.